Guys, do you want to hear something funny? Maybe a joke. I don't know if it's a joke or it's funny. Do you know that I've been recording, I've been talking on camera, and it wasn't recording. Actually, the microphone was not on. Okay, it was recording, but the microphone wasn't on this entire time. So now I'm doing the video all over again. Listen, guys. So a lot of you guys who are going to get into content creation, these are some of the things you will meet. You may sometimes start recording and you forgot to switch on the camera, or something may happen to the equipment. Somewhere down the road, the battery runs out, you stop. It's all part of the creation, okay? So you keep on learning. I want to talk about relationships between the work empath and the sleep empath. Now, a work empath is an empath who is either evolved or still evolving. They're on their journey to enlightenment. They have had a spiritual awakening, so they have started this journey into enlightenment. Now, for a sleep empath, it could have been easy way back in time. No problem. Dating, oh, it's okay. Dating, you go out there to the clubs, you meet the girls, you meet the boys. It wasn't a big deal. Even you might have noticed that people was all over you way back in time. People was way all over you way back in time. As you get deeper into your journey, you start to feel the change. Now, it can happen that you might lose interest because usually people who are on this journey, spiritual journey, they are really, really much invested in themselves. They are very invested in themselves, okay? They don't put relationships and, those stuff on the top. They are very invested in their journey. So they put all the attention they can into their purpose. But still, it can happen that every now and then they might feel the urge to date. It is going to be very tricky because you see, on that vibration, on that frequency, you are going to feel like it is very difficult to find a partner who understands you. It is going to feel like, because you see, there is very many people who don't understand that the love on the 3D is not the same love on the 5D. Many people don't understand this. The love on the 3D, it doesn't hit the same like the love on the 5D. So that's why you see a lot of times people will like you on this 3D because they see you as a physical person. But when they come closer to you, they are going to figure out that maybe you are not the person for them. Sometimes it can happen like that. And you see, the thing is, there's this energy that you have as an enlightened person. There's some energy that you have around you. You're on a certain frequency, and usually when you run into somebody not on that frequency, you are going to feel something is like, it's like a repellent. You feel something like energy. I don't know, you guys, maybe you guys don't understand what I'm talking about. I want you guys to share with us if you have this experience. In my early journeys back in the years, yes, I could run into somebody, maybe I even like them physically. But as we came close together, I started feeling like there is this, I feel like something missing. There's something like in the middle, like a bridge. You cannot explain it. It's energetic. You can't explain it. But there is something in the middle that you can't explain. It's an energetic force that doesn't allow you to connect emotionally with that person. And that is usually because that person is most likely on a low frequency, vibrating at a low frequency, not the same frequency that you're doing, okay? So you feel that energetic push, okay? You really like the person, you mean well for them, but you feel you cannot get into a relationship. And they're very good people sometimes. You know, when I talk about sleep empath, there is empaths who are unawakened. They are asleep, okay? They are good people, empaths, empathic people, but they are asleep. They are not awakened. They are sleeping giants. I've told you guys, I've done a video on this. Those people, as an awakened person, you will run into those people. Very, very often. You run into those people. You're going to run into those people, those sleep empaths. And you really want to be with those people because you see they are very nice people. But normally, as you come close to them, you're going to realize that energetically you are on a different frequency. And there's no way you can explain to them this because it's like you may start explaining to them some things and it's going to feel like you're speaking a different language. As much as they're empaths like you, but you're on a different level of enlightenment. And they are going to feel that you're speaking a different language. So sometimes they are you guys are going to struggle to understand each other. You may sometimes struggle to explain them some things. Maybe there are some terms or some words you want to tell them. You cannot pass the message through because they are still on that frequency that doesn't allow them to absorb certain information. So for the most of you guys who are on this journey or spiritual awakening, you're on your journey to enlightenment. One of the things you're going to realize is that you have lost even sometime interest in dating. That thing of dating is going to be like the last thing on your list. You may sometimes feel like you got to put it on. It's like on the bottom of the list, and sometimes even is why they say sometimes it's very boring to date an awakened person because an awakened person does not function like a sleep person. An awakened individual doesn't operate like a sleep individual. Okay, they don't do everything what everybody else does. They don't go to everywhere where everybody else does. They don't eat all the food that everybody eats. They don't go to all these concerts and everything. It's very difficult. And most of the times when you're dating a sleep person, those may be pretty much the things that they do on a regular basis, okay? And most of the times you're going to feel like you are two different energies that are trying to be together. Is what it's going to feel like. You're going to feel like you are two different energies that are trying to be together. And you even sometimes finding a way to make it work. So most of the times where you see a lot of these people who is awakened, a lot of times you even never see them with women, girlfriends, or whatever, boyfriends. They're on their journey doing their own thing. Is because they understand this whole thing of energy, frequency, and vibration. So they understand that it is very difficult for them to meet a person that is most likely going to vibrate at their frequency. Even then, they don't vibrate at their frequency. They can pretty much understand them on a very spiritual level. Because you see, an awakened person is a person now who likes people who understand them, who can understand or understand them on a very spiritual level. Okay? So those people, they no longer really like pretty much, yes, the physical appearance is important as well. Okay, you may you have that thing in you. But the whole thing comes down to spiritual, the spirit of the person. So they're pretty much concerned about the spiritual side of the person. They may not be really bothered about the physical appearance of the person, although it may sometimes be a little bit of, depending on the person as well. But you are going to realize it is almost impossible to be with someone. Number one, you lose interest in relationships. Those are the downsides of being awake. I've done a whole video on this. You will lose interest in relationships. You may lose interest in sex. Okay, you may have been a person who was way back in time very, very sexually active. You used to have all these girls around. But as the time goes on, you awaken, you start losing interest in sex. So the same thing comes to dating, okay? Dating, it becomes a challenge as well. You no longer feel people is on your energy, So when it comes to dating, what I'm trying to say is that normally what will happen is that you are going to have to make sure that you have a person. If that person runs into you or you run into them, either way, you will see that yes, they are beautiful people, very beautiful souls. Okay, they are not narcissists and everything. They have a good intentions and all that. But one of the things you're going to realize as the awakened empath, if that person has shown interest in you, or if you have interest in those people, and you ever get to go on a date, okay, maybe even one or two, what you really have to do is that you have to make sure that that person is teachable, because you see, the enlightened person is always going to be the person that is going to teach the unenlightened person. So if that person is an empath, okay, you're both empaths, but one of the empaths is more enlightened than the other one. Because I've told you, it is going to be very difficult, almost impossible to meet a person that is at the same frequency like you. It's going to be very difficult. You may be on 80%. You may meet a person who is 10%, or maybe sometimes 20%. You could be 90%, you meet a person who is 50%. So there is always going to be something in the middle. It is never going to be like you are going to meet a person who really, really is in your exact similar frequency. In this case, how you handle it, empaths. For most of you guys have been asking me about the relationships and dating and all that stuff. So normally what you do, try to make sure that the person is teachable. Okay? You show them things. You teach them stuff. And when you're teaching them things, make sure that they understand you. Make sure that they are learning. Okay? It's not about you're going to teach somebody and then they cannot pick up on anything, because at the end of the day, those kind of relationships post awakening, they're on a different frequency and vibration. So they're not the same relationships that like on the 3D. They're not 3D relationships. Okay. So those relationships are about evolution, purpose, life mission, healing, and all these other stuff that follow. Spirituality. Okay. That's what those people do. So they're not 3D relationships. They're not those relationships whereby you're going to the bars to drink beer and going to the club to hunt for the girls. Those are not the kind of relationships. So when you meet that person, like I've said, the only thing you can do, you have to make sure you can teach that person, okay? Because that person they are going to want to learn a lot of things from you. Okay, teach them. Because I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen, empaths, man or woman out there, you're on this channel, you're on this journey of enlightenment, whatever, spiritual journey, I can promise you, you are not going to find a person that can understand you. They will understand you in the 3D because they can see your body, they know what your hair looks like, and they can see you have brown eyes and everything, but on the spiritual level, they don't understand you. It is a completely different frequency. So what here you do is you can only identify if that person isn't a toxic person. That's what you do. I'm giving you the solution now. Make sure that you identify the person isn't toxic, okay? Just identify the person is not a narcissist. I have a lot of people who are empaths. Very nice people, overseas and everywhere. Every now and then we have some chats, we talk a little bit, and I see they're very beautiful people. So when you have a person like that, for example, what I'm saying is, you can always teach them something, because you can always find an empath that is ready to learn. You will know when you meet an empath who is ready to learn, because you're going to be a teacher. There is so much stuff you know that they do not know. And before that relationship can actually materialize into a real relationship, okay, you guys are going to have to start speaking some form of a similar language. You may sometimes have to speak the same language, because you cannot be with a person who is, you're talking about 5D stuff, they're talking about 3D stuff. You can't work like that. You're talking about very high vibrational stuff, they don't even understand your language, and you think that you're going to be in a relationship with that person. It can't happen. It's why you see a lot of these times awakened people, most of the awakened people, they are single. Most of them are alone, they are single. They want a relationship, really, really want someone to share their journey with them, their growth and everything. But it is difficult to find that kind of person. So when you find a person, most likely what will happen, they are going to be a little bit less enlightened than you are. So the only thing you can do now is to become a teacher. Now you become a teacher for these people, you start teaching them something. Now the only problem will be if you're teaching a person that is not learning anything. So when you're teaching something, for example, you're teaching somebody something, and it's like you're wasting a lot of time. Everything you're telling them is just passing their ears. They cannot understand you because they're not there yet. So that's when you know that that relationship is not going to work. Okay, this one I'm telling you guys because you have to be very, very prepared for this. If you are teaching someone and you feel like they cannot understand what you're saying, it's like they are listening to a different frequency. They're listening to something, it's like they appear to be listening, but they cannot get what you're saying. Then you know it will not work. Okay, because there's a language that you speak that they do not understand, and that's just the way it is. But if you meet a person who you will teach, because I've told you, an enlightened person will be a teacher. You will be teaching someone. That person, they are learning. You can see them there, even if they're not learning everything in an instant, they are picking up on what it is you're saying, a little bit of things here and there. Then you know that you are going to be with someone that most likely is ready to grow. They're ready to evolve. Okay, so I'm not saying that you have to meet someone and you change them completely. That's not the aim. But the aim is to teach them something. Because you see, you are a person who is highly enlightened. You want to be able to communicate with a person that can understand your language. Okay, so most of the times, what will usually happen is that it may be required for you to teach the other sleep empath. You may be having a sleep empath that you might have to teach them something. But when it happens that they are not still there yet, you're still teaching, but they're not picking it up, then there is a very big chance that it will not materialize into a big, like a really meaningful relationship, because you guys will never be able to catch up with each other at a vibrational level, at a energetic level, you know. But it's possible. It is possible. I've seen even sometimes coaches. There are some coaches I've seen online. They are doing their journey with their wives. They always sometimes they pull up with their wives on the shows, and they speak about stuff or teach stuff with their wives. I've seen that happen as well. So that means that those people, there are two people who are moving towards the right direction. They're the same direction, the similar direction. Now I don't know how those things happen and they met back in time, but I know that they are dating actually. They are soulmates. So it can happen again, but sometimes it's very difficult. If it happens, you can be very lucky, but it's very, very rare and very difficult to meet a person that is going to be with you on this journey, you know. So this thing of 5D, 3D thing is a completely different thing. Or when you're talking about relationships and dating, it's a completely different scenario. It's not the same thing, you know. Those 3D dating and everything, when you start to wake up, you will start to realize that when it comes to dating and we're on the 5D things, the dating on the 5D is a different type of dating. It's an energetic kind of dating. You're dating energy, okay, frequency and vibration. Before you could date bodies, this girl has a nice body, you like the shape and everything, you like the skin color, you like what. But on the 5D, you're more realizing more like you are attracted to energy, okay? You're attracted to somebody's energy and vibration. But like I've said, it is possible, okay? It can happen or it may not happen. It depends on your luck or what may be your situation and what you're looking for. But normally, you're going to meet, if a person is out there on this channel, we have a lot of empaths. You are going to meet a sleep empath. If you're on this journey of enlightenment, you are usually going to run into a sleep empath. Make sure that you can teach them. And when you're teaching them, make sure they can learn. Because if they're not ready to learn, or if they're not there yet, and it's like you're dragging them like in this journey and they cannot, then it's not going to work. That's how it is. It is not going to work. Let me promise you, there is nobody who is on the 5D can date somebody who is vibrating on the 3D. It is simply not. Is not. That's not how it works. Because if you're dating somebody on that dimension, that means that you're going to have to drag your energy back to the 3D to be able to meet those people energetically. And when you do that, then that means that you're going backwards. Okay. So it is the people who are supposed to meet you where you are, because you're already growing and elevating. You cannot stop growing and go back to meet somebody who is on a very low frequency. Those people have to climb and meet you where you are, learn from you, learn the things you're teaching them, and sometimes you guys can be able to flow along together. And most of the time, those relationships can work. Those relationships will work because you have a person who is willing to learn. Okay, that's how this whole thing works. So, like I've said, it's not a walk in the park. You guys, as you grow, as you start growing spiritually, you're going to realize this whole thing of spiritual awakening is not a walk in the park. Okay, it's a work in progress. You evolve, you grow, you learn things, and everything will change. Okay, so I don't know if you've met a sleep empath like I've told you. I've been mentioning. I don't know if you've already met this kind of person. If you're the person who is trying to date, then be prepared for these kind of things that are going to happen. So if you have got this kind of experience that I'm talking about, then let us know in the comment section below. You guys do know that I do love and appreciate your support. You can book a session, donate or support my channel. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I'll catch you guys in my next one. There's Desmos signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.